Hi, friends. Today I'd like to talk about Jordan Peterson. And the reason I want to talk about him is because he's a testament to what's wrong with our mental health system, because he's also a patient. Not only is he a clinical psychologist, but as a drug addict and an addict, he went through the whole system of mental health therapy himself. And I'll explain to you kind of his choices, and then what are the alternatives? What are the choices and the 5 key factors that you have to pay attention to for healing yourself mentally? So let's get into it. Who's Jordan Peterson? Well, he's an intellectual, a clinical psychologist. He is an ex-Harvard professor, University of Toronto professor of psychology. Not only is he a clinical psychologist, but he wrote his dissertation on addictions. So this is a gentleman that understands addiction. He's extremely bright, and good luck in trying to argue with him on his podcast or on the video. He will definitely show you that he is bright. But the key to his whole unraveling and his whole journey, it's not based on your brilliance or intellectual ability. And let's just dive into kind of his story. So he was dealing with depression and trying to manage his depression. And suddenly he got into a prescription drug situation, a drug addiction. And in 2016, he's trying to get off of it. And he starts reaching out, and I've followed Machula, his daughter's story, and she was sharing how he tried to reach out to over 52 different doctors in order to find people who could get him off of the depressants, off the antidepressants. And he wasn't able to do it until he went to Moscow, and then he went straight cold turkey. And that was why, and that was how he was able to get off of it. But when you look at our mental health system, you find that he was following the same program that is available to all of you, a program that doesn't work. So it's based on the first key factor of our mental health system is that it's an allopathic system. And what is an allopathic system? Basically what happens is if you have mental health problems, you go to your doctor. What does a doctor do? They prescribe a medication, and that's all they do. They have very little mental health training. They do not look at alternatives. All they do is give you a chemical. You take that chemical, and guess what? You feel better. But the problem is that a lot of these chemical pharmaceutical companies, such as Purdue, have been sued. What we have is plaintiffs earning billions for the pushing of this drug that they've been doing. They're literally drug pushers, and people are suffering. People are suffering not only extenuating or extensive mental health problems, some are even committing suicide and so forth. So that's not working. But let's look into exactly what is happening to your brain when you're on prescription drugs. So you're going through a mental health crisis. So what's happening is that your brain is creating a chemical. And what doctors have done is they've determined that there is another chemical that can neutralize the chemical that is being created in the brain. So by neutralizing the chemical, they prescribe you a prescription medicine. Now, your body and brain still continue to create this chemical. The more prescription you take, the more you're addicted to that particular prescription. Guess what? With all the side effects, suddenly you're into this spiral of drug addiction, of prescription drug addiction. And wouldn't it be the smarter choice to actually focus in on where is this chemical being created in your body and mind, and to eliminate your body from creating the chemical in order to not need the prescription medication for our bodies? But that's not the way medicine works. And medicine is built on profit. Medicine is built on selling more prescription medication, and they're not built on you getting better. So if you don't, for example, go to your medical doctor, your choices are probably going to a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and so forth. And what type of therapy do they provide? Most of them don't prescribe medication. So what they're providing is basically conscious mind therapy or talk therapy. And what is conscious mind therapy? Well, your mind is made up of 3 parts. There's the conscious mind, there's the subconscious, and then there's the unconscious. Now, the conscious is us talking. So you're looking at me, you're listening to me, you're communicating, and you're processing it. The subconscious is our emotions, our memories, and so forth. And the unconscious is us blinking our eyes, our blood work, and our lungs. Now, how big are these parts of the brain? Well, a Stanford brain study determined that the conscious mind is only 40 brain receptors out of 11 million. So let that sink in for a minute. If your conscious mind is only 40 brain receptors out of 11 million, it's less than 1%. So what is the balance of the mind? Well, the mind is over 99% is the subconscious mind. And the most amazing thing that I, as a hypnotherapist, have when I explain this to my clients, they don't know how big the conscious mind is. They don't know how big the subconscious is. And they put all their efforts when it comes to mental health therapy in the conscious mind. So what would you do? Like, I can't understand this. Would you want to drive on only 1% of the road? Or would you prefer driving on 99% of the road? So why are we putting so much money and effort on only such a small portion of the mind? When you only put it on such a small portion, guess what? The results cannot work. There are limited results. In conscious mind therapy, it takes years of therapy in order for you to get a result. And it's very common for my clients to come to me after 10, 20, even sometimes 30 years of therapy in order to look for an alternative to help them either with their trauma or with their mental health concerns. So now the fourth thing I want to focus on is an area that is so key to addictions, and that's trauma. Trauma should be addressed. It should be the first thing to address. And people are confused. Where is the trauma located? So some psychologists believe it's in the body. Some psychologists say it's in the mind, but they really don't understand where trauma is located. In my experience, trauma is in kind of an altered state in the auric field. And by removing it in this auric field, suddenly we can release the trauma. Once we release the trauma, the body stops creating the chemical that needs the prescription medication. So if you like this type of content, subscribe to my channel, because by subscribing it, I'll be able to share it and expand it more and help more people with this information. So Jordan Peterson went through the whole idea of prescription medication, of withdrawal, getting through that and having a difficult time with addressing his needs. Obviously, his process in the current psychological system does not work. So what is there? What are the alternatives? Obviously, as a hypnotherapist, I work in the subconscious mind. And in the province of Manitoba, for our psychiatric medical doctors that practice psychiatry, when I asked how many of them practice hypnosis, none. So the majority of psychiatrists, psychologists, and so forth all work in the conscious mind. And that is the difficulty in helping you with mental health. Now, the most important key factor in helping you with respect to your mental health is to focus in on your spirit. By learning how to meditate and focusing in on healing your spirit, you're suddenly able to expand into beautiful areas like frequency healing, understanding trauma release, feeling energies go through your body. For example, in today's client that I had, I asked him after many years of therapy, has he ever felt his trauma release, or has he ever felt energies go through his body in talk therapy? And that's not possible at all. So I'd like to leave you with this idea. When you heal the spirit, the body and mind will follow. The key to Jordan Peterson's healing is not focusing on the intellectual, focusing on psychology, but to focus in on the spirit and the heart. By focusing in on the heart, that is the key to healing. Thank you.